to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we got to tell our viewers about, we have a special relationship because
Absolutely.
I've made your life very aggravating in the past month. And you've been really awesome, so we have to explain that.
Well, I wouldn't use the word aggravating. I would say challenging. No, I wouldn't say any of that. I would say the bottom line is, you know what you need to have. You know what you need to accomplish. You know what your goals are. You know what you want. So I wouldn't say. It's all part of it. Service is all part of it.
So we'll recap for the viewers. I was in a car accident a month ago, leaving the studio, and was in an accident, car totaled. I needed a new one, and my insurance was only going to pay out for like a week for me to get like a rental. So I was looking for one. My dream car was what you were selling. Dream car.
Absolutely.
Very, like, let's not get that twisted. That was my dream car, is to get that Miata.
Aww.
And then, unfortunately, well, not rather than I got offered a job in Yosemite where there might be snow. I needed an all-wheel drive, and the Miata couldn't accomplish. That's the fun car, right?
That's the fun car.
That was not an all-purpose car.
Yeah. Well, and then I had to make sure I didn't turn completely sales guy on you and say, hey, you can make this work. How many people do you know that, can get away with driving a Miata in the snow? But we have to think about your safety.
Yeah, I mean, I did, I got hit by a bus. It was very bad. So it's like, I have to think about, about the safety. And but you were great in being accommodating by me switching, and you have to switch paperwork.
Yeah.
Couldn't make that daily
after we rung the bell.
After we
ring the bell at our store for you because we celebrate you, but we still want to. We're gonna ring the bell again.
And I'm getting that, Mazda, and it was really cool because I haven't I was searching for cars because I realized how cool Mazdas are now. I mean, and I even left you guys for a little bit to say, hey, can I do better? And I couldn't. And it was crazy because there was all these cars that were like.
I didn't know you snuck out on me and did that though.
But I was honest. I was like, but they were astronomically priced.
You was transparent.
I was like, I like these Mazdas, and it was really interesting because my car was broken into 6 months ago. I was like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I called and inquired about the Miata, and I think it was about like 10,000 more than it is now. So I want you to go over a little bit about that today. What's happening with the car market, because it's not usual what's happening right now.
Supply and demand. It's just like any other product. If it's little of, it's cost more. So with us being low on inventory and going through those months of with the chips and the distribution center shutting down, all the COVID, just the backlash of all that. When the supply went down, the demand got high, and then the costs went up, and you have to do what you got to do to keep the lights on and keep as many people employed as possible. So now looks like it's resetting. So that's probably what you ran into when you see the difference.
Right. So it was like cars were really expensive, the interest rates were low, and used cars were like worth so much more than they were. Explain how all that's happening. What's going on right now?
Typically, it's like I think I spoke with you about 2-to-1 ratio of new cars against used cars.
Okay, so tell our viewers.
Well, what that means is there'd be more people that 2-to-1 ratio buying new cars over used cars. But when the used cars became more popular because the supply was down, we needed to get our inventory up. Then the used cars became a lot more popular. So those prices started going up, and then people was finding cars that they can sell, that they found value in, and they started becoming salespeople, if you will, because they were selling their cars.
Right, they're selling their own cars.
Yeah, so, and we're out, looking to buy cars, and everyone was looking to sell because when they started doing the book values on their cars, it was a lot higher than it was, previous, maybe, 4, 5, 6 months ago.
Right, I couldn't even believe how that changed when I called and inquired about the Miata. I was just kind of like, wow, that's even more depressing why I can't get that.
Oh.
But we're still getting a Mazda, so we're good. We're still part of the family.
Yeah, we have what you're looking for. We'll have that in a couple of weeks.
And I did like that. I was really impressed with just like all the options, all that you guys have. And I really was impressed with the like affordable rates at that.
Well, Mazda is always going to be more reliable. They're not going to be into the market of, we need to overprice our cars because we want to get as many out there as possible because we believe in the reliability, safety, and what you're looking for. So if we get more people to just look into that and see that side of it, I think they'll understand that, even on Consumer Reports, we're in 4th place now, and when you look at the vehicles that are ahead of us in that report, you have to step up, like you just stated, $10,000 to $15,000. People just don't have it today. People don't have that kind of money, but they still want a quality car, reliability, good gas mileage. And
even if they have it, you still want to get a good deal on a car.
No matter what.
Right.
So, if you have it, you're just doing it to be doing it. But if you're looking for those things, to pass Mazda up, you probably didn't do your research quite as deep as you should.
And what's going on with the history of Mazda? Because I talked to a lot of different people, and then different people were like, people used to like this brand, but then this got bought out by this, and now this brand owns this brand. What's the history going on with Mazda? Who owns? Where has it gone? Who's distributing now?
No, Mazda's are from Japan. Our vehicles come from Japan. There was a time, but you got to go years back when they're intertwined with Ford for a little while. So. So you're going back about 15, almost 20 years ago, where Ford had a stake in it, but Mazda, grabbed the horse back, and now they're going strong now. They're out of Japan, and we crate them in, and the people are getting now a quality car, built right out of Japan. So the Japan has a lot of pride and behind what they do, so they don't want no one else touching it.
And then it seems like the supply is good as far as getting stuff, because before that, we all know I had this Italian car, and it was a real pain in the butt to get. I had to get a window. Well, my car got broken into. It was going to take months to get a new window. I luckily found one on eBay, and then the tires were everything was a pain to find. Yeah. And I know Mazdas are a little bit easier. Why is that?
Well, we do have some areas that are a little bit more local to where we can get things like that here in the country. So we do have areas in the country where we can get those things a lot faster. But the build of it will still be from Japan. But the little things that you need, like windows and rims, things like that, you can.
They're more universal. It's not like we have some rare.
Well, they'll still be. Mazda quality, but we can get them here locally because we stock those up on this side as well. So we don't have to ship them from Japan. They're already here.
And then right now you're saying that eventually used cars are not the value's going to go down. Now it's a lot like houses and everything. The house market and the car market right now seem a lot of this is good and this isn't good. So why is that? What's happening now? What do you foresee happening next year?
Well, I think everything is resetting to where it's where it's supposed to be, where it's comfortable. The used car market is the book values will start dropping, drastically. They are now. People are going to see it. So those that was out trying to sell their cars 6 weeks ago, if you find yourself trying to sell it now, that number you got 6 weeks ago, you're upset that you didn't take it. Because
and what's one of the stories you said? You said you had a personal story like that you saw something crazy happen.
Yeah, someone we offered all the money for someone's car, and then when they came back to say, hey,
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Don't be mad at me. However, it's the market.
That's how the market is.
Yes,
you have to go with the market.
It changed dramatically. It has nothing to do, and with the Kelley Blue Book, it keeps us all on a level playing field. So you can't say, oh, Fresno Mazda, you did me wrong. It's nothing like that. It's Kelley Blue Book did you wrong.
Yeah, Kelley Blue Book gets like that.
Yeah, find Kelley. Middle name Blue, last name Book. But find that, But yeah, so that keeps us on the even playing field. So it's one of those things where it's resetting.
And so why is it that the car value was, that there was like a 10,000 difference with my Miata 6 months ago than this? The prices dropped, the interest went up. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, now with us having the inventory, the
inventory grew.
The inventory grew. Us having our inventory a lot larger now, instead of ones and twosies, now we have about 40 to 50. I think we're up to 80 cars now on the ground. My other Mazda brothers, their dealerships, they have it as well. So now we're back into everyone looking for who can sell their car.
So why did the interest
lowest.
rates go up? Why were they down and now they went up? Explain that to me.
The federal government has the interest rates going up.
But according to what? Why did that?
Across the board.
Why was it down so low at that point 6 months ago? I was looking. Why did it go to,
because you wanted the people to get out and shop, and if you're going to get out and shop,
because everything was expensive.
Everything was expensive, but you're shopping on used vehicles. So on a new vehicle, you can go through, with the verb we use, it's called they're captive.
Okay.
So, for example, Mazda is my captive, so I can go through and get a subvented rate. That's what I'm going to be doing with you.
Okay.
So I don't have to fall into this, what they call standard rates, out, where the federal government is controlling kind of that area. Mazda can protect me and you in that area to where I can give you a great price and a great rate outside of traditional standard rates. So because those areas are going up, that's not controlled by us, it's controlled by the federal government.
So honestly, we're gonna talk brass tacks now, because I hear different, there's always the myths or like rumors, hey, the best time to buy a car is January. And I bought a car in January and had a great deal. So I did have that, happen for me. But then I heard, there's always a good time, and then same thing with buying a house. So people are like, that's the worst time to buy a house, is the best time. What can you divulge on that? I know you are a salesperson, but what can you divulge a little? There's gotta be some truth to something. So give us something.
Of course, in anything, when you're, you always have goals, and you try to forecast, the things that you want to do for the month, for the year, whatever. But whatever your forecast is, if you want to do a certain amount of vehicles that month, and you're 2-3 away, then of course the dealership will have to, get a little more aggressive to hit that volume number.
Yeah, I get it.
So you have that, but truth be told, I mean, that is the only really myth that there is. There's always going to be good deals. I mean, the deal is as good as the person that you're sitting in front of. So I find if the consumer is understandable, or if the consumer is fair with a win-win instead of just, kind of just one-sided, you'll find yourself always getting a deal throughout the whole time of the month. But it is different at the end of the month, because if you're near a quota, you want to hit it. I know I'm going to hit my quota if I'm 1 or 2 away, and you happen to be in the lucky chair that day. So for everybody, if you want to come out, tomorrow, last day of the month of November, come see me. But my point is it allows me to hit my quota.
Oh, that's how I messed you up yesterday. Oh my gosh, I feel bad. Now I feel terrible.
But you still, in the end, I'm a servant.
And I'm going
to serve in the community. I don't have a pride or ego that I need to satisfy. I need to make you happy so you can send others. So if it's not today, but it's tomorrow, at least, I can look forward to tomorrow.
Well, I've been great with Mazda, and I will explain this because, okay, so how we got this, our friend, what's his name, Gary?
Mo.
No, we love Mo, but I'm talking about at Future Ford, at the other. Isn't his name Gary at the Ford? That's who got me here.
Oh, okay.
At a different dealership, completely different car.
Okay, got you.
I was telling him the stuff that I wanted. And, I was like, well, I want this beyond. I saw it online. Why can't I get that? And he's like, oh. And then I said, and also I'm going to need a loaner car until I get that, because my insurance is going to off that if it takes it. He's like, oh, that's not going to happen. So he was telling me no.
Oh, yeah, you did tell me that story.
On everything that was going to happen. He said, no. So we actually called you guys to prove a point to me that it couldn't happen. And all we got was yes. He's like, well, yeah, we can get her one. And it wasn't quite, but it was like, it was a lot significantly lower than he thought. It was in my budget to get that Miata. Yeah. And then you guys were like, yeah, we will give you a loaner car at that time, which was really awesome, because he was like, they don't do that at that dealership. So I don't want to, that's what I don't want to say. I don't want to put, I love that man, and he brought me to you guys. So props to him. But you guys have worked with me so greatly, and I mean, now I've been on that car for like over a month. I'm ready to get my new car, trust me. I'm ready, but you guys have really worked with me. So I just want the viewers to know that. So explain that, like how have you been able to be so helpful?
Well, because you was transparent. You was transparent from the beginning. Me being, I'm the newly GSM, one of the things I want to encourage my crew is, if a person is going to be transparent with you, that we're family owned. So we have to take care of the community as the best way we can. Can we give it out to everybody? No. But if someone says, you know what, hey, I mean, you gave me all your information. It's not like you hid anything. but they're not. You can't come up and say, "Hey, well, I'm going to do this," and then and then I never see you again. Type
Right,
deal.
right.
You've been you've kept in touch. You're not hard to get a hold of. So we want to take care of those that are as transparent and honest with us. And if we're able, we will. I mean, we won't shy away from that. So we'll loan a car out to someone that wants to do business, and from that we hope to grow from them telling that story, so we can continue to do business. Because the whole point of what we're trying to do is to be as dominant, the most dominant Mazda dealer here, and Mitsubishi, because there's none other here, and I don't even want to name the others, but we just want to be dominant. So how do we do that? We got to take care of those that are right here in our backyard.
What are some of the features that you guys offer that other people aren't offering? I know there's like some special burglary lock thing that you guys have. I could start the car from my phone, which I wanted so badly forever. I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah.
There's just some cool stuff. Can you tell us some cool stuff that maybe our viewers don't know about?
Well, a few things that we offer at our store is we offer. Let me start off with we have a powertrain, a 25-year unlimited powertrain. For our buyers that buy Mazda at Fresno Mazda, and at Mazda and Mitsubishi we offer the low jack cut, we call it Kahu, which allows you to monitor your car from your phone, if you loan your car out, you know where they're at, how fast they've been driving. It tells you if your car needs, if the battery's low. The next maintenance. So it just gives you, and it gives you the health of your car at all times, and then it also gives you a discount on your insurance because it's an anti-theft as well. So it allows if the car is stolen, it allows the police to get it back a lot easier. If they don't, they guarantee $10,000 of,
which is great. So
they put their money where their mouth is. That's for sure. That's the part most people like. So it's a benefit for the consumer.
And then you guys offer, I mean, this is like really weird because I was never looking for the all-wheel, the snow, all this stuff was all new that was thrown in. I mean, you guys offer that, and a lot of dealerships don't even have different options because you have explained the different options that you guys have as far as like wheels and drive and all that.
Well, in the different models, you'll get the different drive modes that you can get in, that you can put the car in. But in your case, with the driving you'll be doing, the all-wheel drive on that vehicle is just a lot better because you'll have a lot more control, up and down the hills that you'll be driving on. But
and a lot of cars just don't even have that anymore. Nissans and the models. A lot of these cars dealerships didn't have the models at all to offer that.
Yeah, or you'll see them more in SUVs or mid-size SUVs.
And I wanted a car.
Yeah. So, and then when I was trying to show you the SUV. I don't want a mom car. I
know, and you gave me something sporty. That's why I really love the options of Mazda, and it's just I'm really excited about this.
So you don't lose the ability to feel sporty and racy, and that's what Mazda doesn't want you to lose. They want you to keep that sporty and racy when you're inside the control. But like I told you, even if the backside is a little bit bigger, you don't feel it inside, but you just know it. That's kind of how you felt, but. You still have the same performance, that, if you will, when you're sitting inside, because no matter what you're in, 6.5, 6.9, or the Mazda 3, you still have that same control and grip and the performance and handling and all of them. So
with December, are there any holiday deals? What are some holiday incentives that we have to come get a car?
Well, like I said, we're going to, obviously we're closing out, we're still kind of closing out the Black Friday extravaganza for November.
Yeah, okay, so we're still closing
that out. But for December, we have a lot of things going on for December. I will tell you that we're a lot more aggressive because we know people are shopping. We know people are on the budget.
We have holiday.
And we have holiday. They're going to be on the bout. So I will tell you that I have not lost anybody from the numbers. My main focus is to make sure you like or love what you're driving or what you want to buy. As far as the numbers, I have not lost anybody for the numbers at all. We statistically, I can get down into exacts, but I will say it's over 70% of most of our customers are completely happy with the numbers that we provide for them.
Okay.
So that's a huge number because in the market that we're in, I'm not a nonprofit organization, so obviously,
Right.
we need to make money, but our customers, they're happy.
So we're going to have incentives if we do December. We don't have to wait till January to get some astronomical deal. That we're going to get something we're going to be happy with either way.
Yes, you'll be happy. When you're sitting in front of us, you're happy with what we do right then and there. So.
Well, I wouldn't have been happy if I bought that Miata 6 months ago. That was like 10,000 more.
Well, and again, that supply and demand.
That's done. We're done with that.
Yeah. So now, because when you're looking at when you have only one or two, what do you do?
So this is a better time to buy a car than it was 6 months ago.
Oh, huge. It's ginormous.
Well, I'm feeling that. I'm definitely getting the rewards of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it is absolutely the best time right now. I will tell you, because we're closing out with, the year-end closeout, and, just, talking to my reps today, we have some big goals for next year. So we have to close out strong. So if you're looking for a car and you've been on the fence, this is the time.
Now we can go wheel and deal with you.
Yeah. Oh, this is the time. This is the time.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my show. I'm really excited about what you guys have done for me. Like I said, this isn't like a little. You're not knocking anything off my prices, so this is out of the kindness of my heart that I like coming on here. So.
No, I appreciate you having me.
But I am happy with that. No, I think these are really great, affordable. I'm really happy with Mazda. So.
Good. I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on my show today.
My pleasure.
You do a lot of cool different things, so tell our viewers what you do.
So first and foremost, I have a DJ company. We do a lot of weddings, corporate events, audio-visual support, screens, projectors.
Okay, so if someone wants to put their whole life on you do the production.
Exactly, or if a company wants to do a presentation, we can bring out all the big stuff, LED walls, that sort of thing. Photo booths. We've got a 71 bus that's a photo booth. You can jump in, take your pictures. They print out at the back. Shoot, what else? Videography.
So that's cool because you can set that up anywhere when you have like an actual photo booth on wheels. You can.
Yeah, we had it out at D&D Ranch a couple weeks ago for a wedding. Just pulled right up, and guests can walk in, take their pictures, and get their little photo strips out of the back.
That is so cool. You're like a one-stop shop.
Kinda. Anything with audio or visual, we try to accommodate, and we've got a small group of MCs with us that do the weddings, and make all the announcements, coordinate everything on site, that sort of thing.
So is it only for events, or do you have any place that you DJ at, like for fun on the weekends?
Just events.
Just events.
Yeah, I don't do the club scene or anything.
Have you done that? Did you start off like that?
I've filled in for friends, but that's about the extent of it. It's a different animal. I'm more into talking with people, interacting, that way, as opposed to just playing music. I mean, we can do that, and we do that at school dances, but I like to interact more with people on a personal level and, talk in front of people. And That sort of thing.
What's the furthest you've gone now, like travel-wise? 'Cause it seems like you could kind of go anywhere. You're kind of mobile like that.
We've done weddings in Seattle,
Wow.
Vegas, Lake Tahoe, mostly West Coast at this point.
And you flew your stuff out there? Did you see or did you drive? You drove it because that's just at that point.
Yeah.
Wow, how adventurous.
You know, it's funny because one we did in Seattle, it was 75 that day, which is warm for Seattle, and all the local vendors are complaining. And this was July. I'm like, guys, really? It's 105 where I'm from. Let's just be quiet. You know, that's all relative, I guess, but.
So you must be pretty booked up. How early do we have to kind of get in there to get you?
Kind of depends on the day. We're booked, you know, we've got some spots in January open, but we're already booking for 2024 in May and October. So.
You got those weddings coming?
Yeah, a lot of weddings.
So how badly did COVID affect all of this?
So everything shut down. We had a lot of reschedules. We had a lot of weddings that were just kind of on the down low at houses, nice houses, mind you, but at houses. And then we live streamed a lot of funerals.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so that kind of that's when that went up then. Your live
Right.
stream kind of like, you're like, hey, we could do this.
Yeah, we got a call from some friends at a funeral home. Hey, can you live stream this funeral? There'll be like 5 people and the priest. Like, yeah, I don't see why not. So let's buy a Zoom account. So, you know, we already had video equipment and went out, set up, did it, and then they're in a network of funeral homes. So we just started, you know, networking with the other ones, and it kept us really busy, actually.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that kind of compensated.
It's weird to say, but it was neat. You know, it was good for the soul. It was good work that way. So.
Well, it must have been sad when it was March is when everything officially, and then you're like, every wedding's like booking out, and like all your Aprils and Mays are just like.
Yeah, we went from 70, 80 weddings for the year down to 12, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, but you make it work. You get through it.
And then what happened when it started like lifting, and then everyone just like wants you again? You're like, ah.
We're still feeling it. This year's been nonstop. It's been ape.
And that's going to be sad for someone that had you locked in, and then they try to get you again, and you might not be available.
We were able to accommodate. I think there was one that we had to send one of our other DJs who's just as good. So he was able to go out and do it. But that was really the only major conflict as far as that went. It wasn't too bad. You know, we worked with people, and people weren't really booking, so they were rescheduling, you know, hoping that things would open. So it kind of just worked out, luckily.
So what are some of the exciting parties that you've done?
We had one at Pismo 3 weeks ago. The budget was over 200. So I think my first house was less than that. They had a band. I emceed it. We did some decor elements. And it was just an insane party right on the beach, overlooking the cliffs, and it was amazing. It was amazing. You see some really neat things, especially with decor. Gets a little crazy sometimes.
So what are some of the things you offer with decor?
This year we've been doing a lot of prop building, everything from walls, you know, oh, we need walls to block off the caterer, to just different elements. You know, we've got some curved pieces that we paint certain colors that people can put pictures on, or these kind of cloud shapes for a first birthday party that we did that was a photo booth backdrop.
So you're kind of coming in, even you're not just showing up the day of the party. You're kind of, some of the setup is like days before.
Oh yeah, market lights, uplighting, you know, building some structures. So it can be pretty involved, definitely.
Well, I've seen with the lights, sometimes when you go into those nightclubs, you have to like reset the lighting because they want it for the party instead of a nighttime vibe.
Right.
That's a lot of work. So you must
It's
have a
crazy.
big crew up with you.
Yeah, we've got, I think, 5 full-time and then a bunch of weekend warriors we call as needed, just labor force. A lot of options.
That's a lot of work. So how long have you been doing this?
See, I'm old. I started in 97, 98 DJing, and then got my broadcast degree, realized it didn't pay well, so I just kept DJing and kind of just built it from there. So.
Well, it went hand in hand because you have to MC a lot of parties, so it wasn't too bad.
And we added the video element, which, you know, helped. So, like, okay, I can use my degree for that.
So what are some, because, you know, we're talking about these parties, and I had a shot girl company back in the day, so we did some like bar mitzvahs,
Nice.
that had these huge
crazy.
budgets. So what are some of the crazy parties that you're like, I can't believe people are paying this much for this? Tell us some of those experiences.
Well, the wedding at Pismo we just did, that was nuts. I think one of the pictures I gave you has some of the prop elements that were from a first birthday party that they totally tried to recreate Coachella.
Oh, nice.
So it was 60, 70 guests, and we had several props, a bunch of lighting, couple food trucks, face painter, balloon artist, one of the big carousels, or Ferris wheels that went around, some different tables for the kids. There was stuff for adults, kids. There was a bar in the back in this little tent. But it was probably one of the craziest parties, just as far as from decor and
it was for
design.
a first birthday?
Mm-hmm.
And then do you ever just go like, oh my gosh.
Well, those are for the parents.
Like,
the kid doesn't even know.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, it was unreal. But it was neat.
It must have
was
been
neat.
weird too, like how you started in the 90s. So things progressed so much.
Oh, big time.
So it's like you went from like this to like this. What were some of those changes like?
Everything in the 90s was a lot more basic.
Right.
A DJ shows up, maybe put a light out, make an announcement or two, and then now everything's full production.
Yeah.
At the very least, we're showing up with a big DJ rig, a lot of lighting, photo booths, maybe a video crew that's videoing the whole event. So it's just kind of changed. A lot more multimedia. We have a DJ booth with a TV built into the front, kind of like this, where we can put pictures on during the night. But yeah, it's definitely a lot more involved.
What are some of the biggest like snafus that have happened? Like where someone forgot something very important?
Oh, we had a minister almost not show up who happened to be the father of the bride. Got there about an hour and a half late.
Wow.
So after that one, I went on and got registered at Universal Life Church just in case. So if need be, I could perform it. I don't ever want to.
Wow,
it's not
you
my
really
thing,
have those backup skills. That is
it's not
impressive.
my thing, but like if we had to, we could do it.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh.
And then of course just random things with drunk guests and all that. So.
But that's nothing on your end. I was thinking about more of your crew. Did they forget like some chords that needed, and now we can't play their videos and all this stuff?
No, we bring a lot of backup equipment, so we try to minimize that. And if there's something like that happens, we make sure that no one ever knows. Which is why I'm not saying it.
And then what about like, have you dealt with like the fake snow or the bubbles or some elaborate stuff like that with the
We don't get into a lot of that. Anything that's going to be a crazy liability, the spark machines, the cloud stuff. It's just anything that has the potential of becoming a hazard. We just kind of stay away from pyro, anything like that.
You try to get them to go in a different direction when they.
Yeah, or we can recommend someone that does that, but I'm not looking to pay crazy liability insurance for something.
Right. And then any famous people you could talk about that you've done some parties for?
Ooh, let's see. Cameron Diaz was at a wedding. She wasn't the bride or anything, but she was at my cousin's wedding just as a guest. We did one back over the summer that Guy Lawrence from Disclosure, if you're into house music at all, was a guest, and then we set up a system for him after the 10 o'clock cutoff time, and he spun an hour and a half after party.
Oh, how fun.
So
That's really
I
cool.
geeked out because that's what I listened to.
I like Disclosure, so that's
yeah.
like
That was really cool, and probably the most down-to-earth guy I've ever met. Just real chill, had the British accent, and spun a really cool disco set. So
That's so cool.
It was neat. So I geeked out and had him sign some headphones. But
So I bet you have, because you could travel everywhere, so I bet you do like a lot of like LA parties and stuff like that come up.
Once in a while. Majority of what we do is local, and then we get into Yosemite a lot, which is a lot of Bay Area clientele. So down at the Ahwahnee, Tenaya Lodge, all the way up to Rush Creek and around that way. So, and plus the mountain, people that go to the mountains are just really cool. They're chill, and you just know it's going to be a good laid-back wedding. A lot of fun.
And so what's the furthest out that you've been from like civilization, trying to do some big event where you're like, there is nothing, like every like porta potty had to be brought and like.
We were out past Springville a few weeks back, and when you were driving there, I noticed there was no cell phone signal, and it was pretty much like that till we drove back.
Oh,
So,
that's.
it's like, yeah, I'm glad everything's loaded on the laptop, you know, all the music, so we don't have to worry about streaming anything. But, you know, and it's not that far a drive. It was just pretty remote. But it was at a cool cattle ranch that the parents had bought, and they're like, we're going to buy this ranch. We moved up from LA. We're going to have the wedding here, and it was a cool party. Sometimes it's more fun when everything's disconnected and everyone's focused and kind of paying attention to the moment versus taking pictures of the moment so they can see it later. It's like, just enjoy it.
What about weather? Has weather ever like messed up everything?
Yeah. We did one in Madeira at a winery, and I remember standing in about 3 or 4 inches of water. Party happened. They were from the Pacific Northwest, so they didn't care. I'm like, it's water. It was January too, so it wasn't terribly surprising.
Has any of your equipment gotten messed up with like these type of like?
Not too bad. We've been really fortunate as far as that goes. Since we quit doing fraternity parties, equipment doesn't get messed up anymore. So.
I was gonna say, you don't have those drunk guests that like, whoop, and everything falls. That's awesome.
Exactly. And we try to place it pretty safe and, avoid problems before they happen.
And you're like one of the last people to leave.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Us, and then usually if someone else is doing lighting and tables and chairs.
Wow. So you're there till really late.
Yeah. Most of the time it's, somewhere between 10 or 12 in this area. They stop, so it's not too bad.
You at least be home by 2.
Exactly. Sleep in a little bit.
And then you've worked with so many people being in town, having this job. You've worked with so tell us some of the people you've worked with, like photographers, lighting people. Like, who are some of the people you work with?
Well, photographers are always the closest one at the weddings. It's photographers and caterers. So we know if we're announcing something, I've got to let the photographer know before I get on that mic, because we don't want them getting mad because they ran to the restroom or they're trying to get a shot of something and then we're announcing the toast. So they're trying to
that's the worst. Yeah.
Run over. So they're like one of the first that we let know what's going on before we do it. Caterer, if it's, toasts or dinner, we've got to make sure they've got the food out or the champagne's already been poured before we announce the toast, anything like that. And then, of course, bride and groom, but that's a given. And then the venue. We've got to make sure we're playing by their rules. If they've got sound ordinances or anything like that, that we're keeping them happy because we want to be allowed back.
No, for sure. So who are some of the good people you've worked in? Where are some of the good venues that you've worked at that you like returning to?
Wolf Lakes we're at quite a bit, out in Sanger.
So you got that down.
Amazing venue. They've got 3 locations there. It's great. Anything in Yosemite, Tenaya Lodge, Yosemite Lodge, Ahwahnee, they're always a favorite. I just like getting to the mountains. And for me, the drive home late at night is kind of meditative, so it's good to relax on the way back. Holland Park, we get out there quite a bit. Copper River, a lot of the country clubs in town. Fort Washington, which has one of the best steaks, by the way. Yeah, there's a lot of great venues. This last couple years, it's been weird because we've been at residences more, it seems like. Still coming out of COVID. People are having it at houses, like I said, nice houses, but at houses still, and doing a little more do-it-yourself. That way they're not having to reschedule or,
Has the electricity ever gone off in the middle of your?
No, I've been lucky on that.
That's actually happened here, so.
Oh, really?
I was wondering.
Haven't had that issue, fortunately. And some venues, we'll bring generator if we need it, depending on where we're at.
And what about especially being in the Central Valley, weather conditions? Because do you tell people when it's hot, do you make suggestions where you need to have more of this, or it's really cold, and you need to have more heaters and stuff? Do you communicate with them like that?
Yeah, we'll let them know. There's certain venues that are fine to work at in July, and there's some that don't.
And you're like, oh, I'm not going to go back there.
Yeah. We're really flexible except when it comes to being in the shade. We won't set up in direct sunlight. I don't mind bringing a pop tent if we have to, but we'll kind of let them know off the bat. If you're going to have it outside somewhere that's not shaded, we need to provide something.
Oh, yeah, and just for your equipment alone, besides your own comfort.
Yeah, I'll survive, but the equipment gets a little funky sometimes if it's overheating. Heat's usually the worst. Everything else,
right?
They'll plan for if it's a winter wedding, rain or anything like that. But
yeah, it seems like people prepare a little bit better for winter, and then in the summertime we just don't even realize how much the heat's going to kick our butt.
Yeah, August was rough this year.
Oh my goodness.
It was a long stretch of 105, and everyone wants to get married outdoors.
I know, huh? What are some of the party planners that you like working with?
Party planners, we work closely with Shelly Armstrong a lot, Shelly Armstrong Events, Fresno Event Group, we do a lot with them, they're great. Kathy Burke is awesome. Those are probably 3 of the main ones we work with. And a lot of venues, depending on the venue, like Wolf Lakes, we don't see a lot of coordinators out there because they do a lot in-house. So it just kind of depends on the event as far as if people are using coordinators or not.
Or do you prefer coordinators over? I would imagine because.
I don't mind them. We can do it, but I think what people don't realize with the coordinators is they give you a lot of that pre-wedding support, like who to book and your organization and all that. So if you're not real organized, it can definitely help you out. Or even just little things you don't think of, who's going to take the gifts home at the end of the night, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I think they help a lot. A lot of the coordinators we work with often, once the ceremony's done, they just let us kind of run the show as far as the reception and keep the timeline moving. But usually we already have rapport with them, so they know that's okay to do. And then they'll work on a lot of the background stuff that needs to be done. So it just kind of depends.
So where do we call you if you want you to come to our party?
HaroENT.com is the website. 559-907-3920 is the phone number. We are on the road a lot during the week, so emails and texts tend to work better for initial contact, and then we can get back to you and set up a consultation and see if we're a fit. I don't pretend to be the right DJ for everyone, but I want to make sure we click.
Yeah, well, what if someone just wants to have like a lot of Armenian music? Can you pull that off?
We can do that. Done 'em. I enjoy it.
I imagine you would have in this area of town.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, come and pimp our parties.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you for coming on my show today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
So how long have you been doing photography on the scale that you're doing it now?
I started full-time 2011. Yeah.
And then what did you start doing? Was it family portraits, weddings?
Yeah, so the reason I got into photography was my daughter, getting photos of her, and I was kind of shocked how expensive it was, which is funny looking back because I charge more for the same thing. But I just bought a little used Rebel Canon camera and started taking photos of trains and all kinds of things that people do when they first get a camera. And of course, taking photos of my daughter and then eventually my son. And ended up shooting a wedding for a friend of mine, and it just really kind of took off and became something I really enjoyed. And at the same time, I was kind of in between careers, and so it just kind of was an awesome path that I was able to take, and it worked out well.
And now you've taken photos of everyone, you politicians, business owners.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of photographing our mayors, quite a few celebrities. For a time, I was doing all the photos for Fresno Convention Center, Sound Arena, Soroyan Theater, so all the acts that would come through there, the bands, getting to meet them and photograph them. And
so how did you get hired? Was it all word of mouth, basically?
That was actually me just reaching out to them. So I've learned in photography, a lot of times if you just reach out to people, you can kind of network your way into things. Sometimes it's just serendipity or it's somebody kind of networks you with someone else. But I'm pretty persistent, and I find ways to just meet people and offer my services, and that's a great way to find jobs that way as well. So
did you get insight with other photographers? It seems like you are pretty self-taught.
So not a lot of help locally. I mean, I have some friends in town that I work with. I wouldn't say I buddied up with any of them to learn things. I do have a close friend who's kind of working his way out of the business at this point, but he gave me some advice here and there. But I've taken seminars, spent a week in Beverly Hills learning from a guy who's the most award-winning wedding and portrait photographer alive today, and actually became friends with him, got to go out and work with him in Las Vegas. And
that's good, networking off a seminar. Then he chose you to really kind of.
He called me up a month after the seminar. I was like, "You want to come to Vegas and work for me?" I'm like, "Yeah." So got to fly out there and have expenses paid for, and got to meet the best photographers in the world because they have after parties. And so I add them on Facebook as friends and
you start asking
networking more with them. And yeah, so it's just been really an amazing experience. And photographers on the top level, I feel are less competitive because they already know they're making a good living. Whereas I think photographers who are kind of more new to it, they watermark everything, huge watermarks, and they're more protective. And so I feel kind of the more you learn and the more successful you are, the more you want to share that and help people. So I also teach photography classes and lighting seminars at my studio, and so teaching is a big passion of mine. So
so when people are up and coming, they can come in as you. What are some of the rookie mistakes that people make?
So I think a lot of people tend to think they need to spend too much on a camera. Usually people that have a bigger budget, maybe that make more money, they think they need to go out and buy $3,000 worth of camera equipment. I always tell people go on Craigslist or, you know, OfferUp is probably the thing now, or Marketplace, and buy just a used camera. Spend $300, get a used camera, one lens, and just learn with it. And you're either going to like it or hate it, or it may be just something you pull out every once in a while, maybe to snap some family photos.
Is it more based on how you are as a photographer than the actual camera itself and the equipment? Is it more like when you get skilled, then you can kind of maneuver really, it doesn't matter how good a camera is, you need to be good yourself, right?
If I hand a newbie a $3,000 camera and lens, their photos aren't going to be any better than a $300 used camera.
Because they don't know
You've got to
yet.
know how to use the equipment. The reason photographers who are more experienced and doing weddings and big events spend all the money, because there's a lot of advantages to the more expensive cameras, as far as like the quality of the photos, being able to shoot when the setting's really dark, that kind of thing. So there are some advantages. There's a reason why, you know, a camera's $3,000 and a lens is $2,000. Like, there are advantages.
What do you enjoy doing the most and dislike doing the most? I know you're kind of well-rounded and you'll do everything, but what is, sometimes you roll your eyes and you're like, well, I'll do this job if they paid this much, because it's really not my favorite.
Yeah. I like events, some corporate events that I do, like even like, you know, holiday parties, some shorter like event award ceremonies, that kind of thing, where you can kind of come in, get it done quickly and be done. Those pay pretty well for the time.
Do you like getting people in their natural when they're not posing?
Yeah.
To get the non
Yeah,
posing.
and I also like doing headshots. I like it when somebody comes in. Everybody who comes in for a headshot pretty much is like, I don't like my photo being taken. It's pretty standard to hear that. And so I'm very personable with them. I talk with them. I get them joking. Like, I find out if they have kids. I find out if they have pets, you know. Find out their favorite TV show. Like, I talk to them like that, so that I get real smiles and I get them to just relax in front of the camera.
I would think that'd be really boring too, to do headshots. That's cool that you like it.
Yeah, well, they're quick. Headshots can usually be pretty quick, but it's what I like is when you turn the camera on and show them, and they're like, "Oh, I look good," you know, like just little posing things with the chin and getting them to lean. Like, it really makes a big difference too.
So what do you not like?
I don't like it when I get hired by a company for 4 hours and the event is something I could have photographed in an hour, because you're just kind of standing around and.
Oh, you really feel the pressure to stay there because it's an hourly?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did a recent event. I won't say too much, but I could have done it in an hour, and there wasn't a lot of people there, and it was just like, I don't want to have 50 pictures of the same people talking to the same people. Like, they get annoyed if you take too many photos of them. And they're just trying to hang out and drink and, you know, and talk to people.
So that's where it's more time efficiency that bothers you.
Yeah, and I do family photos, but it's not like something I enjoy a lot. If there's like
because the kids, you can't time that.
Yeah, I know some female photographers usually that have a little bit more patience for. I have some good friends who do a lot more of just little kid photos, and they enjoy that more than I do. So I've done it and I can handle it, but it's not like my first pick. So.
Wow. I mean, okay, so I could tell you, like, as doing modeling and stuff, what I hate personally is I do not like looking at like 100 pictures of myself that are all the same but slightly different. That drives me absolutely nuts. But that's kind of like your job to do stuff like that. How do you do it? And how do you yes, no? I mean, can you pick that this picture is better than this picture when it's like such a slight difference?
Yeah. Well, I think too, at least for me, the longer I've been doing photography, the less I overshoot. You know, when you first get a camera, you just take tons and tons and tons of photos, and they all look almost the exact same. But
so you'll never catch yourself with like more than 10, maybe.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and a great example is Jerry Guionis, the guy that I trained with in Beverly Hills and learned from. He's incredible, and he's got a whole website you can learn from. But I'm amazed when I watch his videos, because he'll take 5 or 10 minutes setting up the shot, setting up the pose. And then he gets his light set up, and he's like, boom, boom, and he's like, here it is, boom, and he's done.
Wow.
Like, he can get it in just a couple shots.
That is impressive.
Yeah, versus kind of the newbie in photography is like just overshooting and trying to get the right angle. Like, he knows, because he's been doing it for 20 plus years, you know, he knows exactly what he wants, and so he's able to get it a lot quicker. So as I shoot longer.
And he taught you how to do that?
I've learned from him, yeah. He's incredible. But as I've shot myself, I've noticed that I can shoot less. And then maybe even if it's headshots or acting photos, then they can go change and we can do another outfit. So we can do quicker. So.
And well, my biggest problem when I've had a lot of different photographers has always been the lighting. So a lot of times I'll say no to people that want to take pictures if I don't like the way it's lit on a lot of their face. There's so much shadowy. Some people of us are darker than others, and just like probably with some people that are like lighter complected than others, they start washing out. So how did you learn to navigate that? Was that something that was harder to navigate, or you caught on pretty quickly to that?
Yeah, I mean, lighting is probably, well, posing I would say is the hardest thing in my job. Posing people, and then lighting is the second hardest part.
Really?
Yeah, because everybody's got different skin complexions, like you said. If you've got an athlete in the gym, for example, you can do what we would call more hard lighting. So you set up lights on the side and it like skims across their body and their muscles, and it brings out those textures. If you've got a teenager in your studio who's got a bunch of acne, that's the worst thing you can do for their skin. So you would set a camera up more flat lighting, which kind of helps take out those shadows, and it hides kind of that, the acne or whatever it is that you want to hide. So you kind of have to judge your clients and move the lights around and see what they like. And even for headshots, I'll a lot of times have them set up on one side and then have them set up on the other side, just so they can look and see which side they like better. So.
What's one of the craziest experiences you've had happen in photography?
A fun story would be shooting a wedding, and it was at a venue that has a pool in the backyard, and the mother of the bride literally was taking a selfie right before the wedding, and she fell into the pool.
Did you tell me you caught that?
I didn't. I was like going to grab my second camera because I used 2 cameras during the ceremony. And I was like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, the mom's fell in the pool. I'm like, thankfully she didn't break her leg or something, but they had to like take her inside and throw her dress in the dryer. And so we started the wedding like 20 or 25 minutes late because they had to dry off her dress so she could be in the wedding. So I had a cousin of the groom get in a fight and shoved the groom, and they almost got in a fist fight during the reception. And
tell me you caught that on camera.
No, I didn't.
Oh my goodness.
But I do have in my contract now that I can't promise any specific photo because I tell them that story. You know, your cake could get knocked on the ground before you cut it. So, yeah, so there's quite a few fun stories. Lots of drunk people and.
Did you catch some of that on camera?
Oh yeah. During the reception, there's lots of fun.
How fun.
Fun drunk dancing people is always fun photos.
And do you do video and stills for somebody? Do some people ask you to do both? And is that like a different rate when you?
Right. Yeah, it's a different rate. And I tell brides this straight up because a lot of the brides that call me, they're like, I want photos and videos, let's say 8 hours. That's typically what I hear on the phone. And I tell them I do the photos and I have a videographer that I work with. And I kind of warn them. I mean, I know of a couple.
Okay, so you don't really do the videos yourself.
I used to. I used to hire out.
But it's a lot.
Yeah,
so that's what
I used to hire out people.
So you realize it's kind of better quality if one's focusing on one and one's okay.
Yeah. And I still do video to this day. I do funeral videos like Adam Haro that was just talking. I've done some of that as well. But it's not my passion, and it's a whole nother setup for your computer. It's a whole nother setup for equipment, and I prefer people that are specifically trained and experienced in video to let them do it. And they work alongside me really well. So.
Oh, and then I think you were saying something about makeup artists, how they get very delayed in the process. So what happens when that happens, like as far as pay rate? So if you're waiting around an hour longer than you weren't supposed to because someone's getting their makeup on, does that fall on you? Like, how does that work?
Usually, so any wedding that I do, they have the option of overtime. So when we get to the end of the wedding, I'll pull the bride or groom aside and say, hey, you know, we haven't got this shot that we need, or you guys haven't done your, you know, your dance or whatever. We got 20 minutes left. This isn't going to happen. Do you want to, you know, hire me for an extra hour for overtime? And so they have
that's good.
They have
you give
that
them
option.
a heads up too.
And I'm really quick. That's one of the things with my years of experience is I'm really quick with getting shots. I've had 20 family members that needed all these different group shots, and I had 10 minutes in the church. And so I'm able to like not boss them around, but be able to get through it quickly and have people come up and get out and get up and get down and get different shots we need within 10 minutes if we need to. And so that helps with being able to catch up if the makeup artist is running late, because that happens a lot. So
I think it just takes so long for them to get through each person, right?
Yeah, and honestly, I warn brides about this. I'm like, you need to make sure you hire a highly skilled professional, and you make sure you have enough makeup artists, because that runs late if they have too many. They're trying to do 6 people and it's one person working. No, you should have a team of like 3.
Right. That always boggles my mind. But I know some people really are still spread thin, especially like with COVID. Sometimes you just don't have the help.
Yeah, and it's part of our industry. You know, I've worked with photographers who are really slow too, and I'm like, it's like the artist thing, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
we've got a timeline we've got to stick to. And
That's
so,
the biggest problem with the artists. They have no like
Right.
sense of time.
and that's the DJ, like Adam was just talking about. Like, they're very important for a wedding, and I always communicate very closely with the DJ. As soon as I get to the reception, I go and immediately talk to them. A lot of times it's people I've known because I've done multiple weddings with them, and they'll be like, hey, how long are you here for? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here till 9. So then we make sure we get a game plan and we try to stay on time. Or a lot of times we're playing catch up, you know, because the bride maybe's hair and makeup went 15 minutes long. So we try to play catch up somewhere. So, and a good DJ or a good wedding planner will help you plan your agenda for the wedding. And there'll be spots in there where we can pick up time or we can stretch things out and they can talk with people more. So it just kind of depends on that. So.
Well, I guess that's an advantage of having done it for so long, is that you can communicate with these people. You do
Yeah.
know them. You're not kind of like waiting around. You're like, hey, guys have code like language like this,
Right.
2 minutes.
Yeah, and I've you know, through my experience, I've done hundreds of weddings. Like, they're not new to me, and if you've seen a few, you've seen them all pretty much. And so, you know, I'm good at like figuring out what do we need to pick up time or save time here and there. And when I work quickly with the bride and groom, a lot of times I'm like, all right, we've got 20 more minutes of happy hour. Do you want to go drink and hang out, or do you want to keep taking photos? And so, you know, they've seen the photos I've gotten already, and I just leave that up to them. So I try to be really outgoing and like just flexible with the bride and groom, because it's their day. You know, it's not my day, it's their day, and I want them to feel comfortable. You know, they want good photos, but at the same time, I'm trying to minimize the stress that they're feeling too. So I'll even hand the groom some gum or something, or a lot of times during the cake cutting, I notice there's no cake or, you know, no forks or napkins, so I'll grab that and put it on the table. And a lot of times I'm almost acting like the event planner if they don't have one. So.
Wow, I bet. But with props too, I imagine you think on your feet with props if you're
Yeah.
at an event, because you can't plan all that.
Oh yeah, and you have to be flexible too. Like, just stuff happens that you did not expect, and you know, or it rains on you, and it's like, we want to do outdoor photos, so I'm thinking, okay, or where can we shoot outdoor but under cover?
Oh
and
my goodness.
So, you know, you bring extra equipment and just have to be prepared for stuff. So it's fun. I like the challenge. Like, it's just exciting because stuff goes wrong and things happen.
What
and
about your Bridezilla experience? I bet you've seen a few of those.
I have never had Bridezilla. I've had
Really?
Groomzilla before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I hadn't met him before the wedding, and I walk into the hotel to meet them for the first time, and the first words out of his mouth were basically, "I can't believe how expensive you are," in words I can't use on this show.
Oh my goodness,
And I was
that's
like,
funny.
okay. And even his groomsmen were like hiding their faces, and so they felt bad for me, but I won him over by the end of the day. So I was like, look at these photos, and he was like, oh, I like those. So, you know.
Well, that is another thing. I had a photographer on last week, and I asked this question too. How does the value go? Because now, you know, everyone thinks they can have a talk show. Everyone thinks they could be a photographer. We have phones now that have all these like powers we didn't have before. How has that affected your business? Because now everybody thinks they're a photographer that just got an
Right.
iPhone last week. The highest iPhone you can get. Like, how does that help or hurt your business?
It's made it a lot more challenging. I'll just say that, especially on the wedding side, because there's a million photographers in Fresno that are doing weddings, and I feel bad for the brides and grooms because I see some of these photographers when I'm shooting at venues where there's like multiple spots for ceremonies, and these people just don't look professional. A lot of times they have one camera that's not even really necessarily up to par for what they should be using for a wedding. And, you know, I've got at least 2 cameras on me, a third sometimes in my bag, backups of my lighting gear. My cameras all have 2 cards, so like everything's redundant and backed up because cards fail, and you can lose. If you're using a cheaper camera that's got 1 card slot and the card fails, your photos are gone. Some of these photographers don't have any training, they don't have any insurance, and so, you know, not that I'm saying they can't get those things and become legitimate, but it's scary. So. And I hear the horror stories too, like the brides are like, I hate my photos, and so.
Because somebody's kid got this iPhone 13, 14, and said, I could do it, and I know how to do this, and showed them some cool pictures they did.
Yeah, they go to like Costco and buy like a $600 kit camera, and they think they're a wedding photographer, and it's like.
So it really is more damaging to the people that hire them than to you per se, because you've kind of shown yourself, so people know the difference between you and
I've
them.
heard it multiple times, and a lot of times it's sad because it's usually like a relative. Oh, my uncle's gonna photograph the wedding.
Of course, yeah, you do the family. I've done that, yeah.
Yeah, and I've had the pleasure of being able to serve some brides and grooms where I'm able to take wedding photos of them after the wedding and give them beautiful photos. Like for years, one of my best photos, most popular photos, was one of those photos. So we took him out to the country and took some beautiful shots of him and stuff.
So what are you doing with businesses and branding? Because I know back in the day, I paid way too much for a website when I was getting a business launched. What are you doing as far as, I know you don't do like website development per se, but you help in the process of photos and videos for, what do you do?
Yeah, so one of the big focuses of my business right now is coming alongside businesses, whether it's product photography, headshots for their like inner working emails that go around so they know who the guy that's in the service department is because there's a photo on the email, or just team photos, or even what I would call more like corporate shots. So I've gotten into like service businesses and we literally bring in, I wouldn't call them models, but volunteers to take photos. So it's almost like a stock photo, but it's not something they bought off a website that isn't in their building. So it's in their building, they're real salespeople with real people interacting. And so that really sets their company apart when they put that on their website, and just takes it to a whole nother level. And then Instagram and Facebook are one of the top ways that people are hiring businesses now. So people are going, I feel like, less and less to websites. They're seeing ads on Instagram for their plumber or Facebook. And so if you have an original photo that's taken in Fresno, you know, with your service people, it just takes you really to the next level. So. But
you do more than just like, if I mean, because I work with a lot of like older people and they don't even know how to get, I do my mom's Facebook for crying out loud. She doesn't know how to like do a photo like that. So if someone hires you and they want you to kind of do everything, how does that work? They can hire you to be like, I want you to take the photo and I want you to put it here.
So that's not something I'm offering now, but that's definitely somebody I could get them in contact with. So I do have friends that do marketing in town that are top notch. I can take the photos, hand the photos off to the marketing person, and they can take over their social media accounts for them, and even get some websites designed.
But you just know how to take the photo that they need for what they're telling you.
I don't have time to do all that stuff, so I
didn't know how involved it was. That's why I was kind of asking what the differences were.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't claim to be a marketing expert. That's still something that I'm learning, but I have really good marketing people that I can hand that off to.
But you at least put it on their, make sure they have it like on their phone, on their emails, all the things that they can and kind of do. I know you're pretty good at guiding people if they need like a little bit of questions, guidance on how to do it. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, I'm a great networker, so I know a million people in town that do different things that we can kind of refer them to. Like, I got a phone call this morning yesterday, and I actually referred Adam, who's on the show. It's just kind of a small world. They wanted some audio video for a funeral, and I'm like, call Adam. He's got a projector, he's got video, he can stream to another room, which is what they wanted. It was like overflow for a funeral into another room. Like, he's your guy.
Oh, speaking of that, so when people do those little like collage photos that they play at those weddings and funerals, do you help with that at all? Can you do that too? If there were a bunch of photos to you and said, I want you to do it to music and all that stuff.
Yeah, especially if it's photos I've taken as well. It makes it easier for me because they're already at the right quality.
I know.
It's harder.
When you get those pictures from the 70s and they're like,
or they text me a cell phone photo. I'm like, this isn't going to work for the projector. It's going to look horrible. So, you know, there's certain things that need to be scanned and that kind of thing. So.
Well, that's awesome. So where do we go to when we want to hire you?
Yeah, so Instagram is a good one, just AAP Fresno. And then my website is aapweddings.com. And also Ambient Art Photography is the name. So, but AAP is easier for people to remember. So.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my show.
My pleasure.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. I just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't want to be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend, playing pretend, playing pretend, ooh, playing pretend.
It's a mystery.